Hello, guys, and welcome back to another edition of Baseball Talk with your old brothers. My name is Nicholas Earl, and today I have an interesting topic that I wanted to talk about, and I thought this was something that I see on Twitter a lot. A lot of people like to overreact 8 games into the season, 10 games into the season, 15 games into the season. Most teams at this point have played 16 games, so we're about 10% of the way through the season. The Mets have played 16, the Dodgers have played 15, 16 for the D-backs, 15, yeah. So anywhere between 15, 16 games. So we're about, still, mathematically speaking, less than 10% of the way through the season. So the question is, how much does the first 3 weeks of the season matter? And I was looking at projections from FanGraphs. These numbers are all coming from FanGraphs. I looked at their preseason projected win total, preseason projected record, and now their current projected record, the difference in that, and then the projected playoff percentage, and then their current projected playoff percentage, preseason and current, and then the difference between that. And one thing I noticed is there's for teams for the win amounts, the highest I saw was 4 on either side. Plus or minus was 4. I saw one team gain 4 spots, one team gain 4 games, one team lose 4 games compared to their preseason projections. So here's what we're going to talk about. And I'm going to talk about 4 teams for positives, 4 teams for negatives. And at the end, we're going to talk about whether or not we should take this too seriously or not. And the 4 teams I'm going to talk about for the biggest risers here are all ones that have seen their preseason playoff percentages go up at least 10%, which that's it. On both positive and negative, 10 point, it's anywhere between 10.8% to 16.8% is the amount that any of them have moved. That's it, which in the grand scheme of things aren't massive movements. They're just adjustments from what they were expecting preseason. Maybe some injuries could be involved in that as well. So let's get it started. The Texas Rangers. Preseason, they were projected an 81-81 record and a 46.5% chance to make the playoffs. They have started the year off 8-7. They have they're currently 3-3 at home, 5-4 on the road, 2-1 versus teams with an above 500 record. So they've played 3 games against good teams and a run differential +4. This is a Rangers team that, yeah, they're off to a solid start. Is this something I'll buy? I mean, this is honestly when I looked at the Rangers preseason, it's exactly what I was expecting. Anywhere between 80 to 83, 84 wins. A team that was going to be mid. A team in the 50 percentages for playoffs with the playoff seedings the way they are and how many teams get in. Yeah, mid can make it in sometimes. And I think that 57.3%, I think this is more of an indictment on some of the other American League teams rather than the Rangers. Because when you look at the playoff teams right now in the American League, 8-7's in a playoff spot. And 8-7's tied for the last wild card spot with the Athletics, the Yankees, and the Orioles. So I feel like that playoff percentage jumps is just they starting off slightly better than what we think they could. Yeah. Also, it's Houston not looking good. Seattle's off to a slow start. The Athletics I'm not scared of, and then the Angels or whatever. The Athletics we're supposed to be okay, not great. So I have a feeling that's more of their division around them rather than them. Yes, the Rangers are off to an okay start, but am I buying it? It feels like you're more selling the rest of the American League. Another interesting one here: the San Diego Padres have started 10-6 on the year. Their preseason projected record, according to FanGraphs, was 80 wins and 82 losses, and now it's 83-79, a +3 differential between preseason and right now for their win total. They started the year at 26.5% chance to make the playoffs. They're now at 39.4. FanGraphs ain't buying the San Diego Padres, and neither am I. I think their rotation still is not the greatest. Nick Pivetta just got hurt. It's a very top-heavy lineup. Am I buying into the San Diego Padres? No. Do I think there's about a 40% chance they can make the playoffs? Maybe. They're not a team that I'm like crazy about, but would it shock me to see them squeak into the last wild card spot? No. When you take a look at the National League right now, 9-7 is good for a wild card 3. And that's the Arizona Diamondbacks at the moment. I mean, the Cardinals are 8-7, half a game out. So are the Milwaukee Brewers. We're still very, very early into the season. I'm not going to read too much into the Padres. I do think they can fall down a little bit as we go. Here's an interesting one where their projected wins have not gone up a lot, but their percentage to make the playoffs has. The Pittsburgh Pirates. Preseason, they were projected for 84 wins. Now it's 85, so it's a 1-win differential, which is what it is. But now they've gone from a 45.3% to a 59.4%, which is an increase of 14.1%. Very, very solid move up. They've started 9-6 on the year, currently leading their division. And I think a big thing about it, and we will talk about one of the team, we will not talk about one of the teams when it comes to that because they only moved down 9.8%. But one team that took a big hit that won't be talked about in this video is the Chicago Cubs. Preseason, they were 86. Now they're 83. And they've dropped 9.8% from a 53.9 to a 44.1% chance to make the playoffs. And the Pirates have really taken over as, I believe now, FanGraphs having them as the best team in that division, which is very interesting to see. Because I want to take a look real quick. To win the division in the National League Central, FanGraphs now has the Pittsburgh Pirates at 40.5% to win the division. They opened up at 27.6. And really, it's Milwaukee is around 23.3. The Cubs opened up at 35.6, and now they're down to 24.8. So the Cubs have taken a massive step back. And that, obviously, injuries, Horton, Boyd, both hurt now. And they're going to need pitchers like Edward Cabrera and Shota Imanaga to step up and if they want to compete. And I mean, FanGraphs is not buying Cincinnati in the slightest. They are at a 7.6% chance to win the division, according to FanGraphs. So the Pirates, this is not as much of them getting better as their division kind of adjusting and the Cubs not being as good as we may have thought preseason. The biggest jump in playoff odds and the biggest jump in wins in general, the Cleveland Guardians. They started off 9-7 on the year. They're tied for first place, but get this, the Minnesota Twins, another team that had a nice jump, 3-win differential for the Twins as well, and they have jumped up 8.8% chance for playoffs. They've jumped from about 28.6 up to 37.4. But the Cleveland Guardians, who we're talking about here, the biggest jump, 4 wins from 76 to 80, and their playoff percentages has gone from 16.3 to 33.1. Up 16.8%. They've more than doubled their playoff percentages here over the first 10% of the season. And it's just, do I think it's sustainable? Probably not. They are a negative 9 run differential, which is not the greatest. But they also just did play the Dodgers, which those will be, and they won a series against the Dodgers, so that'll help. This Cleveland Guardians team has just been really solid to start the year. The biggest gain in playoff odds. They are also, I think FanGraphs was massively underselling the Guardians this year. I was still higher on the Guardians than most. And they've gone up from 16.3 to 33.1. Love to see it. Some guards ball here. The biggest riser so far. And then we'll talk about our biggest fallers. So we have 4 teams we're going to talk about here when it comes to playoff percentages that have dropped at least 10%. The first one here is the New York Mets. The Mets have gone from 90 to 87 projected wins, which is a -3. Only one team has it worse. than them, and the Mets, I think, along with the Cubs, were the only teams where they dropped 3 games. Now going from 90 to 87, that's still a playoff team. From 79 to 0.5% to 67.9%, 11.6. Yeah, and they've struggled to start the year. They're 7-9. They're on an L5. I think this will be the lowest that they'll get for a while. Actually, they play the Dodgers next, so who knows there. Right now, by the way, I'm recording this on April the 13th, and this will probably be coming out on the 14th. So some of these numbers might be slightly off, but that comes with recording a day and ahead. Because the Mets will play the Dodgers tonight. But they've gone from 79.5% to 67.9% playoff odds with their little bit of a struggle of a start here. Soto hurt obviously does not help that. And just their offense off to a very slow start as well. I do not expect that to continue. I do think the Mets take a step the next time we look at this, maybe at All-Star break or something along those lines. I think the Mets will be back up at 70, 80, 90% for playoff odds rather than in the high 60s. One team that has seen their odds drop more, and then we'll have 2 American League teams to close out this video. San Francisco Giants have dropped from 82 wins to 80 wins. Dropped 2 wins preseason projection, which the Giants is exactly where I thought they were going to be. 80 to 82 win team, just mid. Gone down from 35.4% to 23.2%. They've started down 12.2%. They've started the year off 6-10. They've lost their last 2. And this is a team that has struggled at home and has not really played that tough of a schedule. Only 3 games against a team with a winning record so far. This is a team negative 21 run differential. They've just not looked good defensively. They've not looked good offensively. They've not looked good. And the Giants are a team that I had as the last wild card team, but watching what they've done so far this season, I am not convinced on the San Francisco Giants. They've dropped 12.2%, and I think it's a rightful drop for them. On to the American League, the last 2 teams we'll talk about here, and I think this is a big reason why teams like the Guardians and the Rangers have made the jumps that they have, because these 2 teams struggling can really impact the wild card situation. The Boston Red Sox, 85 to 83 wins, dropping 2 projected wins. 61.2% chance to make the playoffs preseason, 48.4 now, down 12.8%. Now, if we would have looked at this a little while ago when they started off, 2-8, I think this would have been a little bit different of a discussion. But with that being said, this Red Sox team has really struggled this year because I believe when they were 2-8, it was even worse. Because Boston was down. I think the lowest they were at was actually 41.8% was actually the lowest they've been all year, which during that losing streak, they went from 64.9 down to 42.9. So they dropped 12%. They've actually gained a few percentages, seeing that they have won their last couple. This is a team I expect better from going forward. And I do expect them to get back on track. I think this is just a slow start for them. They are all of 2 games behind the Rays, the Yankees, and Orioles for first place. And the Red Sox are all of 2 games back for the wild card. Granted, they have a bunch of other teams to jump. I'm not worried about the Red Sox as much as I'm worried about this team. The Toronto Blue Jays. Yeah. They were projected 85 wins to start the year. They're down to 81 now, which is the biggest dropper here on both projected wins, -4, and then projected playoff percentage at -15.7%, going from 53 down to 37.3. The Blue Jays are 6-9 to start the year, same record as the Boston Red Sox. However, they have dealt with a lot of injuries. And this is a Blue Jays team that I just don't know how they are going to recover from these injuries. And this is the team I am the most concerned about. when it comes to when it comes to this team, or when it comes to teams off of slow starts. And yes, they are a good team, and hopefully they will get some of their guys back soon. But Alejandro Kirk is going to be out for a while. Barger's out for a while. Springer's out for a little bit. Barrios is out for a little bit. Bowden Francis is out for the year. Ponce is out for a few months. Shane Bieber just got put on the 60-day IL. Trey Savage started off the year hurt. Hopefully he can be back soon. He's rehabbing at the moment. This is just a team that's been hit by injury after injury after injury after injury after injury. And maybe this could be too much for the Toronto Blue Jays, last year's American League champions. So that's something to keep an eye out there. Definitely raising big concern. The Toronto Blue Jays off to a slow start, and it's mainly because of injuries for some guys that probably won't be back for a little bit. So that is the biggest dropper on this list. Should we be encouraged or concerned? We are, like I said, less than 10% of the way through the season right now. And the biggest riser rose up 16.8%. The biggest dropper dropped 15.7%. And I think in order to be concerned, you have to be, I think, more of a 20% plus drop. So I'm concerned about the Blue Jays, and that's probably just about it for this list. And am I encouraged by teams? Guardians a little bit. I'm encouraged a little bit with the Guardians because of how much of a jump they've had, and I do think that that's a team that annually gets underrated by these different projection systems and things like that. Seeing that rise for the Pirates is really fun, but I think that's more of an indictment of their division rather than them making a massive change themselves. Granted, this is a better Pittsburgh Pirates team, but I do think this is looking like a weaker Central Division than what we thought heading into the season. So let me know down in the comment section below. Are you concerned for any of these teams? Are you encouraged by some of these teams? Some other teams that we didn't talk about, because we have teams like Minnesota gained 8.8% on their playoff odds. The Cubs dropped 9.8. Those were the only true big ones. The Yankees have increased by 6.4%, but that was from 74% to 70.4 to 74.4 to 80.8 words there. But that is about it for this video. Let me know down in the comment section below. Are you overreacting over the first less than 10% of the season, or are you just going to let the games play because we still got a lot of baseball still to go? That's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys as always for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.